There are mysteries waiting to be revealed that nourish and quench the soul. We're so glad you found us. Come on in.
Hi, my name is Sonja Sadovsky, and I am the author of Priestess and Pen, which is an exciting new book through Llewellyn that describes the character of the priestess throughout 20th century literature. And it also talks about my own experience as a priestess, slightly, just a little bit of it, at the end. And the thing that's really cool about my new book is that it talks about how the structure of the character of the priestess in fiction has created an understanding for us, a common language for all of us as pagans and goddess worshippers to talk about our concepts of the ideal female, which ultimately leads to the goddess. So I'm here today at the lovely Raven Faerie in Lakeland, Florida, talking about the book and fielding some questions about it.
So how long have you been a priestess yourself?
I've been a priestess for a while. I've always been interested in paganism. Since I was a very young child, I've always been interested in concepts of magic, powerful women. Everything I ever read when I was a child was about witches, warrior women, and things of that nature. About the time when I was 11 years old, I came into contact with Marion Zimmer Bradley's The Miss of Babylon, and it just fit. I felt the gong go off in my head, and I realized this was who I was. So I was calling myself a priestess for quite some time, but then when I got to college and I was able to do more active research in the field, I guess, I got in touch with a British traditional Wiccan coven, and I was initiated into Wicca in 2004. So I guess I've been a priestess for as long as I can remember, but I've been a card-carrying witch since for about a decade now. A little bit over that.
So the thing that really fascinates me about the book, and I'm a writer myself, is the concept of channeled fiction and how it shapes our concepts of the divine and how we express ourselves in our faith. Could you talk about how you picked the authors that you picked to profile in the book?
Absolutely. The reason why I decided to go with Dion Fortune, Marion Zimmer Bradley, and Diana Paxson is that I felt that they were all writing on a similar theme that was created by Dion Fortune in the 30s. What she decided to do with her fiction was very formulaic. She has, the way that she approaches it is the idea of the woman as the priest, or the priestess as the initiator. This was a very revolutionary concept. It still is. And the reason why I liked this theme was that the priestess was the authority, the spiritual authority of her own direction. She also helped others connect to the divine. So when I was looking at fiction that I wanted to study, I wanted to stay within that genre. And Marion Zimmer Bradley, especially in the Mists books that she writes, very much picks up on that theme of the idea of the priestess as the center of the story, as the protagonist. Diana Paxson, I limited my study in this book to just the Miss of Avalon series. She obviously has a lot of great stuff that's separate from that, but I wanted to kind of keep it all together so it made more sense and it was more coherent. The reason I picked these three authors is they all utilize the same concept, not only of the priestess as the protagonist, but they also utilize this literary device of switching from first-person narration to third-person telling the story. So you get this concept of telling the story behind the story. There's the regular story that we all know, but then there's the secret side of it, almost like an intimate memoir, where the priestess is telling you in her own words about her own experience, which I liked.
I enjoyed very much as well.
Can you tell us about your academic history?
Sure. Well, this book is a very interesting process. Part of it was part of my master's thesis, and part of it was written much later than that, so the entire thing has taken about 10 years. My personal academic background, I have a BA in creative writing from University of South Florida, and I have a master's degree in religious studies with a concentration on Western esotericism and mysticism. So, what that means, what that translates to, is I have a lot of interesting knowledge about a lot of esoteric philosophy, and I decided to utilize that to try and create something. I was really looking to find out more about where this concept of goddess came from. And the thing that was really interesting to me is that when I was younger, in my 20s, and I was first actively talking with other pagans, there was this concept that we have this ancient idea of goddess. But when I got overseas and I started really looking at some of the more ancient texts, I realized that my concept that I had been introduced to was actually a very modern concept. So the reason I studied fiction was that was the most accessible to me, and it was something that was really, I was able to really get into because it's all documented. So I wanted to start with what I knew.
There are mysteries waiting to be revealed that nourish and quench the soul. We're so glad you found us. Come on in.